Hello, it's Cate Stillman with yogahealer.com. And today we're going to talk about Ayurveda and the daily cycle of time, otherwise known as the Dosha Clock. Now, Ayurveda has a sense of rhythm. So this is all based on what are the rhythms of living on a planet, right? Here we are as a planet, and we're cycling, obviously, around a sun, and that creates an annual cycle. And then obviously we rotate, and that creates the day-night rhythm. So Rita means rhythm, R-T-A. Rita means rhythm. The dosha clock is also called dinacharya. And dina is day, and charya has a lot to do with falling in accordance with higher nature or a ritual or a rhythm. And it's this idea that we can synchronize up with the rhythm of turning our way around the sun 365 times a year. So when we're talking about this, there's an order to the universe. And this whole idea of what order creates is harmony. And when we harmonize our body to the order, we experience health. The order's there whether we harmonize our personal day-to-day rhythm, our own daily rituals, our own daily habits with the dosha clock. The dosha clock exists whether you harmonize yourself to the higher order or whether you choose not to. If you choose not to and you're experiencing a sense of being rushed, a sense of being worried, a sense of not enough time in the day, then this lesson is very important. And it's sometimes a lesson that we need to hear again and again until we really internalize that this rhythm is in our cells of our body. Humans have evolved on the planet over a very long time. Like before we were humans, before we were hominids, before we were mammals, like that mammals have had the rhythm of day-night that's influenced the synchronization of our bodies, our nervous systems, our endocrine systems, etc. So this is built within our cells. So the reason I have two clocks drawn here is we're going to look at both the AM cycle and the PM cycle. So this will be 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. This is the day cycle. And then we'll also look at the night cycle. And so that'll be 10 p.m., 2 a.m., and 6 a.m. Now, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., this is dusk is 6 p.m. and dawn is 6 a.m. And obviously, depending on where you are on the earth, if you're towards if you're towards the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle, right, you're that far from the equator, meaning that you're not going to have these perfect 12-hour splits where it's going to be a lot more variable between dawn and dusk, depending on whether it's winter or summer. So given that, we'll look at how all this fits in. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is that these colors are coded because the energies match, whether it's AM or PM, in that same 6 to 10, 10 to 2, 2 to 6. And what these energies are the three doshas. So if we look at the three doshas, we have Vata, which is the energy that moves things. So it can go in any different direction, and its qualities are that it's, first of all, that it moves things, so it's mobile. Because it moves things, it dries things out, just like the wind on your skin will dry your skin out. It's dry, it's mobile, it's light, and it's subtle. It has other attributes too, like it's cold, that you can really feel in that 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. So remember, all of these attributes are going to also translate to the night as well. The energy of Pitta is the energy that heats things. So its attributes are that it is hot, it's sharp, it's rather than moves things, what it does is it actually digests, and in that way it transforms. And I'm going to use the shape of the triangle. Its energy, like heat, rises. So we'll use the upward triangle there. Whereas again, remember, Vata can move in any direction. Heat, we know, rises. Kapha is the third energy. Its energy goes down. Just like heat rises, water flows down and out. So the energies here, if we look at what the actual energies are, Kapha is water and earth, and we'll get into its qualities in a second. Pitta is fire, mostly fire with a little bit of water. And Vata is ether or space, and air, which is movement. So the lightest elements are Vata, make up Vata. The heaviest elements make up Kapha, and the hot element makes up Pitta. So there's elements, and that's what I'm drawing over here in this clock, even though they apply in both clocks. And over here, I'm just drawing what the doshas are. Now the dosha, what that means is it means force, or it means an energy. So we take the one energy and we say that Pitta is the one main energy, like the one energy, universal energy, divides into three types of energy. And so Pitta energy, it transforms and it's metabolic. Vata energy causes movement and it's catabolic, meaning it breaks things down over time. Kapha as an energy it's the force of cohesion, and it's anabolic. So we have these three energies that are all part and parcel of the universal energy. It breaks into that triad. Okay, so this triad then moves through the field of time. We got the qualities of Vata down, the qualities of Pitta down. Now the qualities of Kapha, which means earth and water, its qualities are, first of all, it's moist. It has moisture because of that water element, where the other two don't. Vata has air and ether. Pitta has fire and water. It's moist. It's heavy, like the earth or like a bucket of water. It's dense. It's dense like the earth. It's sticky. That's the quality of being cohesive, is it causes a stickiness, which is also cloudy. Now, why does this matter? When I first learned this, I was like, what does it all mean? Like, how does it apply to me? Well, what we're looking for is how do these energies, how do they actually dictate what should the daily habits be? How do these energies actually dictate what the rhythm should actually be? And that's really this conversation that we're having here is, so what do we need to do when, and why does it matter? For me, growing up as someone who, learned about what I should do, but didn't really learn the why behind it, this starts to make a lot more sense when we look at how should we align our day-to-day habits? Does it matter what goes when? What happens when we eat at midnight? What happens when we eat at midday? Is the same process of digestion and elimination possible? What happens when we exercise when the sun is hottest in the sky, which is around the middle of the day? What happens if we exercise then versus exercising early in the morning? What is the best time of day to meditate? What is the best time of day to have a bowel movement? This is where these daily habits, this is where we really want to pay attention to this. Because if anything's off, if our energy is off, if we feel like our rhythm of life and living is off, again, if we feel stressed or overwhelmed, or we're not as clearly focused as we want to be, we feel maybe less productive, we have any kind of reoccurring health issues or energy issues, it's time to make sure that we are living according to this larger rhythm. Remember this rhythm of how you're going around the sun, and how as the earth spins, how much are you aligned to the day and night cycle and these three energies. So what we'll do is we'll start with what should be happening from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So this is like pre-dawn. That's what we're talking about here. Now, because that is following in the Vata time, we know that the energies are light and mobile and subtle. So this, for a yogi, and this is where the system comes from, This means that like this is the best time of day to merge your consciousness with the cosmos, with the absolute. So this is the best time of day, and 2 a.m. might be early, but you can think of like even like 5:30 to 6 a.m. or that light time before the dawn. This is called Brahma, B-R-A-H-M-A, Muhurta, M-U-H-U-R-T-A. And Brahma Muhurta is this time before the dawn. It's this pre-dawn time, and it's very subtle. So before the day gets going, your consciousness is more mobile, it's more light, it's more subtle. And because of that, it's easier to actually dissolve your ego into the more absolute sense of who you are, into your larger self sense, into the place where universal energy is more accessible to you, into the experience of deep peace, into the experience of eternity or timelessness, into the experience of the feel-good sensation. Sometimes that's called shantaya, and it's this feeling when you're in deep meditation that there's a very subtle quality of like the universe is good, and you can feel that cellularly. If you wake up after the dawn and then try to meditate, so if you wake up in kapha time, instead, what happens is you have these qualities of heavy and dense and sticky that are part of your awareness for that day. So we would often more like to feel more subtle and more light and actually more flexible or mobile. So the pre-dawn period, there's a few things that we want to have happen in here. One is this sense of seeing the bigger picture. So I'm just going to say opening to a bigger perspective, because that is an important part of that time of day. The other thing that happens when you wake up in the morning is there's a natural desire to eliminate waste. So usually you have to pee. Sometimes you have to poop. Hopefully you normally have to poop. There might be sleep in your eyes, so you might want to splash your face with cold water, and you're opening up the channels and eliminating waste. So those are big things that happen right around the dawn or before the dawn. Now, what happens in the 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. part of the cycle when kapha is dominant? This is the time of day that the body is strongest. So if you have a big project, if you want to climb a mountain, you want to leave early in the morning. I think everybody has had that experience where if you have a lot to do, say you need to clean the house and start with the garage, you want to start earlier in the day rather than later, because part of the density of kapha is that there's strength. There's strength to it. It's heavy, it's dense, it's sticky. So the body's just more cohesive. Also, it's the time of day, like if you ever have to have a surgery, it's better to do that in the morning, because your awareness is, your body's awareness is more able to handle it because the body is strongest. So this is the most important time to work out. Digestion isn't strong early in the morning. It's not strong until pitta time of day. So it's not the time of day for a big meal. So we might often actually eat lighter in the morning and save our appetite up until the middle of the day. So then 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., this is the time that digestion is strongest. And so this is when we want to have our biggest meal. Of the 24-hour period, this is the time of day that digestion is strongest, meaning that the bile is increased. Your ability to digest foods, even hard to digest foods, is going to be better in the middle of the day. Plus, then you have the whole rest of the day to digest your food. You're not just eating your big meal right before bed. You're giving your body time to move food from your stomach into your intestines and into your colon before you go to sleep at night. All right. So if we look at what happens next, if we look at 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., this is the time when vata is dominant and the mind is strongest. So we went from body to digestion to mind. And because the mind is strongest, then this is a great time for concentration. It's a great time for communication and reflection and problem solving. That has to do with more of that subtle realm where you're trying to find new solutions to problems. You're trying to think about things in a different way. That's one of the benefits of Vata, is because it can move in different directions. It can see things in a new light. So I'm just going to write problem solving to capture that. You can also write reflection. It's a second best time of day to meditate because there's that really light quality. Now, often people that don't eat a good lunch in the middle of the day will have an energy crash in Vata time of day. But if you've had a good meal in the middle of the day, usually your energy will be stabilized, especially as you strengthen your digestion and get better at, your body gets better at eliminating waste. You'll be able to concentrate for longer and longer periods of time in the afternoon. If we look at what happens from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m., this is the time of day that's dominated by kapha again. So the body is strong, and there's a real desire to connect. Either to connect if you are more on a solo path, to connect with your higher self or with spirit. If you're living with other people, to connect with other people. So it's a time to relax. It's a time to enjoy. It's a time to do things that are honestly that are fun. Or it's also the second time of day to do hard physical work. So it's a great time to actually like clean house and get a bunch of stuff done and fatigue your physical body before it's time for bed. If we then look at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., this is the time of day. This is interesting because kapha goes down. The best time of day to go to sleep is right between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. So this is the time of day to also to release your day or to go to bed. If you stay up too late, if you stay up past 10, the energy is going up again. And this is where people get a second wind. It's where they get, that desire for the midnight snack. And all of that is putting the wrong type of digestion at the wrong time of day. Often people 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. who have a cycle of staying up through it will feel the focus. Because the thing about pitta is it's hot, it's sharp, it naturally focuses itself like an arrow, like a beam of light. But the problem is the body, if we go to bed before 10 p.m. and fall asleep, we're in the deepest sleep because kapha is heavy and dense. If we stay up, our sleep will be lighter because pitta is lighter than kapha. Pitta doesn't have the heavy element of earth and it doesn't have much water. It has a lot of fire. And so it's happening between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, around midnight, is the organs are cleansing themselves. So the organs are in a detox mode where they're using the fire to burn or to digest what the body doesn't want anymore. So if we continually override that cycle by staying awake, we're actually using energy from the next cycle. We're using energy from the next day. And over time, that will lead to depletion. It'll lead to low energy. It can lead to weight gain. There's direct ties with staying up late and having trouble balancing weight. It actually leads to more accidents and injuries. So we're not supposed to use that intensity around midnight, that energy of intensity around midnight, that pitta time. We're not supposed to use that for worldly activities, for you in the world. We're supposed to use that for internal activities to clean house, essentially. All right, and when we do that, what happens then between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.? Now we're back to this part of the cycle. We're back in that body's finishing its cleansing process. Energy is starting to move in from the fiery type of the cleansing to just moving things towards the exits, moving eye gunk towards the eyes, moving waste towards the colon, and moving urine right towards the bladder. So in the process of waking up, the impurities have already moved to the exits. You wake up, you splash water on your face, you pee, you poop, you're good to go. All right, I just want to mention a few other things that in this pre-dawn time, eliminate waste, and sometimes what we need to do in order to do that is to drink water. And in the Body Thrive book and in the Body Thrive course, we really look at the 10 habits that are the cycle. And we break it down into very, very specific habits. In this video, I just wanted to give you a good overview of the dosha clock and these times a day, the way it moves again from having this universal energy, the one big energy, how that divides into the three energies, and then why these three energies, how they're dominant in the daily cycle and us like spinning around the sun, and how these happen 365 times a year. And in the process of understanding it, you can start to feel more of the qualities. Feeling the quality of the moisture of the morning, of the dew, is important with kapha. Also feeling that kapha energy as the sun goes down, after, the sun is setting, and just feeling that density in your body. And you'll notice that you won't be able to feel this stuff if you're constantly plugged into screens. You'll miss it. You'll miss the energies. You need to really go a little analog, go offline, and just notice what are the qualities of the energies that are happening at this time of day. And allow your body and your mind to synchronize with those energies, just to feel it, to receive it, and to synchronize it. And soon what you'll notice is that your habits, you'll start to have a desire for your habits to fall in line. Now, if you're more of a night owl and you're staying up late and you're waking up late, it's going to be really hard to feel any of this stuff. And you're going to feel a little bit more dense in your physical body and behind in your day-to-day, like what you need to get done. So it's really important that the first thing you do is make sure that your eyes are tuning to the light right around the dawn. And that will help set your whole circadian rhythm into sync. There's really, you can't say enough about seeing the light around the dawn and around the dusk. And just observing that, feeling that uninterrupted, not in conversation, but just really being present for a few minutes then will help to set your whole dosha clock in rhythm. Now you'll notice there I said around the dawn and around the dusk. I didn't say 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. because the times are just groupings around what happens from the time at the dawn till mid-morning, from mid-morning to early afternoon, from early afternoon or mid-afternoon in summer till dusk, from dusk until till the sky's really quite dark, from there through the middle of the night till the energy's starting to lighten, and from there again until the dawn. So you just start to notice that you are part of a larger rhythm. Your physiology balances itself based on your attunement to the larger rhythm. And the more you do that, your daily habits of what to do when will fall in place. And the more that happens, the more you'll experience a lot of energy and vitality, and you'll have a happy disposition. It'll be much easier to focus and get things done. You'll digest your food better and absorb your food better and have higher quality tissue. There's all of the benefits. So a few other little things, some people ask from this, well, if I'm eating my main meal in the middle of the day, what do I do about dinner time that's happening around that 6 p.m.? And that should be a lighter meal. It's whatever can get you through to breaking the fast the next morning. Breakfast gets you through to having your main meal in the middle of the day. There's other questions that arise with wow, that's going to be really hard for me to do. That's what we teach in Body Thrive. We use Kaizen or small steps. We do a lot of intermittent fasting as well, which is really pushing the majority of caloric intake and digestion between the daylight hours, so that we might just eat twice a day. Some people will eat once a day some days to get into deeper levels of autophagy, or their body's ability to digest cells that need to be digested for peak performance in the physiology and anti-aging. But the concept is what you really need to learn in this dosha clock lesson, that the more you digest most of your food in the middle of the day, the more you're tapped into going to sleep before that second wind kicks in, the more you're tuned into waking up early to tune into the bigger perspective and the lightness of energy and the great cosmic experience that you're part of. The more you're doing exercise then, as the sun's getting brighter in the sky, but before it's too hot, the more you're tuning into that, you'll start to notice your whole life enters another degree of flow. The more you're getting your household into this rhythm, the more the household will naturally live in harmony. Order begets harmony. And this harmony begets health. And part of that is the beauty of who you are, trying to come out and fully express itself. Beauty begets happiness. And so the more you're living in a beautiful life, the happier you're going to be. And it all starts with the dosha clock, which is really the principle of you live in an ordered cosmos. You live on a planet that cycles around a sun and turns on an axis in a 24-hour cycle. All right, there you have it, the doshic clock.